What's going on, my friends? Chris here. I want to bring you all an update today of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Right now, Bitcoin's sitting at 43,597. We're up about 0.4%. What I wanted to do, guys, was really take a look at this target area that we just hit to the downside, and this is the 200 EMA. This is such an important area that we need to defend for the bulls. What you can see is during this downtrend, we've had the heavy volume to the downside, we've had weak volume to the upside, heavy volume to the downside, and this is the area off this 200. You would expect this to be defended and that we would get a bounce out of this area. Okay, this is also coming off the bottom trend line right down in this area. You can see the top, so we're almost working in one of these channels. If we are able to find support down in this area here and get a big volume follow through to the upside, I would target around a bounce to back to about $50,000 right up in that area. And that's also going to correlate with the 100 EMA right here that we're going to have to get back up above. Because, guys, what you can see here now, and this is all on the one-day time frame, you can see the 20 EMAs overhead, the 50, the 100, and all we have left is this 200 moving average that we're trying to find support off of. Now, if we ended up closing where we are today, this may be some tweezer bottoms right off this 200 EMA. But still, guys, we haven't seen a lot of major buying volume right in this area yet. Okay, we'd want really powerful buying pressure in that range. You know, something along the lines of this right here, where we get this really strong move right off this 200, because we want to see interest in Bitcoin here. Because basically what we've been dealing with, guys, is almost one of these complex head and shoulders patterns that we were talking about in the last couple videos. What you can see for the technicals, we're at a 13 sell, a 9 neutral, and a 4 buy. Oscillators 2 sell, 8 neutral, and a 1 buy. If we get out to the week, we're at a neutral level now, 8 sell, 10 neutral, and an 8 buy. Oscillators 2 sell, 9 neutral, and a 0 buy. Also, guys, if you get some from these videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I appreciate y'all. And also let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. Are we going to get a really nice bounce off this target area here? Or is this where we start crashing through and the 200 EMA starts acting as overhead resistance? I'd love for you guys to let me know down low, because this basically is the deepest that we've been. You can see this entire bull market here. When we've had these retracements, they've been back onto the 50. Onto the 50, onto the 50. Now we are trading below it. So it's definitely something that we need to be aware of here. Okay. And guys, I took a lot of heat up in this range when I was telling people use protective stop losses and all that. Me currently, I'm still sitting patiently waiting to see when I want to re-enter in terms of my trading account. So getting back into the game here for Bitcoin right now, I've been patiently out of the market, waiting in cash for the right opportunity to get back in if I see it. Right now, the stock is at 0 and 0.58. The RSI is around 29. So this definitely could be an area that we do get a bounce off of. You know, the RSI is getting lower. We got our stock in oversold territory. And, you know, we're trying to find support off this 200 EMA. But what you typically want to see is when we're having this downside pressure, we want to see the volume start to slow down before we end up getting this reversal. So we got some work to do here. If we can find support here at this $40,000, we're going to look to see if we can get up to around $47,000 is going to be overhead resistance, and it's going to be up to around that $50,000. Big round number there, guys, but this is definitely something we want to pay attention to when you're looking at this up here. You know, that's not the prettiest pattern. Until we actually break out from this upper trend line here and get a nice strong break, that's when I'm going to be feeling a little bit more comfortable. But right now, Bitcoin still has a lot to prove because it has all these overhead resistance areas to get up through. All right, so just be more careful. We definitely could get a bounce now. I mean, you can even see a little bit of divergence here, bullish divergence. So you can see how the price actually went down. And right now, the RSI, you can see is pretty flat right in that range. So we do have a little bit of divergence there. And one thing I always like to take a look at, see if it'll even show up in this. So it's a divergence indicator. Let me clear one of these off for us. And see if we can see any divergences, both bull or bear. So we really don't have anything right now, but apparently, guys, from what I can see here, you can see how the price was actually going lower, but we weren't going lower so far on the relative strength there. So we're getting closer to that bullish divergence, but we still need to be careful in this area. Very sticky area for us right now. Okay, guys, so that's going to be Bitcoin. Let me know what you're doing. Are you buying off this area? You can see we pushed up today to roughly about 40, almost 46,000. We saw a little bit of rejection there. Average daily volume is going to be around 25.99K. We're at 19.14 right now. So let's see if we can get some heavier volume off this area today. So that's going to be Bitcoin. Next one we're going to get into is Ethereum. If you like me covering ETH, guys, let me know. So for ETH, our typical retracements have been back through the 50 even. We've got back to the 50. Sometimes we even wick a little bit lower. So if we do end up going back down to that area, we would target around $2,907 going to be a downside target. And then it would also be around that $2,500 if we do end up going a little bit lower here. Guys, this is where we need a big high volume bounce. Okay, and the reason for this, we don't want something like this here. Do you see how we had heavy volume to the downside? We bounced up. Look, light volume, right? We got slammed again to the downside, heavy volume. We don't want another light volume bounce up and then another slam to the downside, which would take us down in this range here. So definitely be careful because we still have a lot of work to do up in this range. We're trying to get back up above the 20 EMA now, which is overhead resistance. That's at 3,434. Is the range. But as we start to really push high here, guys, these longer wicks can tell you sometimes that we may get a little reversal here, a local top. We had that, and we also had a bearish engulfing candle right here. And then we've just been in this shorter term downtrend right now, and we're trying to get out of it. But right now, Ethereum's still looking much better than Bitcoin is. Okay, just taking a look at this here. If we get into the technicals, for Ethereum, a little bit stronger. You can see on the 1 day, we have a 7 sell, a 9 neutral, and a 10 buy. Oscillators 2 sell, 8 neutral, and a 1 buy. Moving averages 5 sell, 1 neutral, and a 9 buy, guys. And just to be honest with you, and you know, this is just me being transparent, I sold out at $4,000 with my Ethereum, and I've been waiting for a great opportunity to get back into the market when I want to, when it looks like we potentially could go back up and make some higher highs. But for me right now, I still need a little bit more confirmation. And we're sitting at that 34.29. And for me, guys, personally, that's just, I like to swing trade this market. It's a benefit for me, but you know, many people just want to continue to hold on. We're still up above our 50, our 100, and our 200 there. So that's something that you just want to pay attention to. Relative strength is at 53 right now. But we basically just want to change this trend around now, guys. When we have these big up moves in bull markets there, we want to see that big swell of volume. And then when we have our retracements, we want the volume to dry up. And now what you're seeing is the big push to the downside is on heavier volume. Our reaction up is on lighter, heavier volume. We're going to see if this is lighter and then see if we get another move to the downside. If not, this is what we're going to need to do right here. Say this is the area that we have. Come up in here, come back down, see if we can set a higher low and then try to change it up to here. And then it looks something along the lines of that right there, guys, trying to get out of there. And we can also always move sideways. But for me, I just still, with all the volatility going on in the world right now, I want to be patient and wait for the right opportunity till I see the right opportunity that I see to enter back into this market. Okay, but that's just me, guys. Let me know what you've been doing. Did you have any protective stops in as well? Did you get stopped out of any positions? When we start to get overbaked up here, guys, and I see these long wicks, relative strengths up in the 80s, whatnot, to me, that's when you put in those trailing stop losses. You get stopped out. It is what it is. You look for another great opportunity. That's something that, you know, guys, being in this space for 4 years, I'll tell you, Google it. You know, you can learn anything you want out there. Google trailing stop losses, stop loss placement, all that type of stuff. It can really help you in this space to lock in that profit. So the next one we're going to get into is Litecoin. If you like me covering Ethereum, let me know down low. We'll move into Litecoin. And if you're here for Litecoin, let me know, guys, down low. This is one we've really been tracking for a long time now. I wanted to bring this up for us today. Main thing for Litecoin, trying to find support right off this 50 EMA. Main thing, guys, is Bitcoin. Litecoin's been doing really well, but when Bitcoin drops and it just brings us down, we have to pay attention to it because it can happen to Litecoin as well. Okay, so always be careful when Bitcoin's getting a little squirrely. If you're trading Litecoin, you always have to look at Bitcoin first and then Litecoin. So for Litecoin, if we could close where we're at today, this would be a bullish engulfing candle. Volume right now, if we take a look at this, volume is at 523K right now. Our average volume is at 736. So we'll see throughout the day how much more volume we get. If we're able to continue to push higher, we're going to look up around, we'll call it about $324 as overhead resistance. Then it would be up to around $358 are going to be the overhead resistance areas. If we end up rolling over to the downside, we're going to look at about $241 to see if we can find support there. But this is still looking better than what Bitcoin's looking, guys, in terms of Litecoin. If we get into the technicals, we have a 6 sell, 8 neutral, 12 buy, oscillators 1 sell, 7 neutral, and a 3 buy. You can see just a little bit ahead of Bitcoin here. Moving averages 5 sell, 1 neutral, and a 9 buy. If we get into the 1 week, we have a 3 sell, 9 neutral, and a 14 buy, oscillators 2 sell, 8 neutral, and a 1 buy. Moving averages 1 sell, 1 neutral, and a 13 buy. And if we kind of work our way through, guys, what I like to do here, so we'll start on the 1 day time frame. We'll just kind of move in and see what the price action is looking like here. So if we get into the 12 hour, And remember what we're looking for, guys, right here, heavy volume to the downside, light volume to the upside, heavy to the downside, a little bit heavier volume there to the upside, again to the downside, and then we're going to see if we can change this pattern, set a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Typically, when we do get these retracements for Litecoin, the last one was roughly about 38%. So these can be really big moves to the downside. This time we ended up going about 38%. So we're going to see if this is the floor for us and if we're able to dig our way out of this. This last one over here, about 38%, guys. So this is an area that we could potentially bounce off of if Bitcoin wants to behave itself. You know, Litecoin typically after a 38% retracement will want to get going, and it typically gets going on a bullish engulfing candle. If you can see that here, we'd have a bullish engulfing here after some longer wicks and almost a hammer candle down in that range. So for Litecoin, it's just, in my opinion, having Bitcoin behave itself and kind of at least keep moving sideways as opposed to having to dump down through $40,000. Because if we go down through 40,000, we're definitely going to have a little bit more trouble on our hands, because each time you drop through a support, it becomes resistance and you're going to have to knock back up through it again. You know, guys, I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, that when you drop through something like that, now you're going to have to bust up through it, and that's going to take a lot of buying pressure. And a lot of people, you know, don't really pay attention to that stuff, and volume in the space will tell you everything. So just be careful, guys. Sticky area right now. I'm still waiting for some confirmation, but we're getting closer. We'll see. God bless each and every one of you. Take care, my friends.